time to bring on board our next set of amazing speakers. They're already lined up right over here. And a very interesting topic. Look at the tone of the topic. It says, come on, keep up. Content marketing in the era of fast-changing technology. I love the sound of it, and I can't wait to actually hear from our speakers as they come together, focus on creating compelling content, or for that matter, the content distribution strategies, or for that matter, measuring content marketing success, or for that matter, even using generative AI apps for copy, long-form strategies, design, all that and more. So there's a lot that we managed to condense in this session. And let me tell you that this particular session is being spearheaded by none other than Karthik Nagarajan, CEO Hogarth. So I'm going to quickly invite Karthik to please come on stage so that we can together welcome your speakers. May I please invite Sanket Narkar, Head of Marketing, Physics Wallah. I'd like to further invite Pawan Sarda, Chief Growth Officer, House of Abhinandan, Lodha. May I further please invite Rajdeep, Bose, Chief Marketing Officer, Hexawebony. May I also please invite Taher, Framewala, Deputy General Manager, Digital Commerce, Tata Motors, and Argho, Bhattacharya, Head of Marketing, PayU. All right, I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, come on, let's keep up and let's have a huge round of applause. Let's cheer for our next set of speakers. Can we make that louder, please? We need your energy back in the air, everyone. Lovely. All right, with that, Karthik, over to you then.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I was also wondering about the title. Is a very passive-aggressive title, like, come on, keep up, content marketing, blah, blah, blah. But I'm very excited because, usually when we discuss content marketing in a forum like this, it's very cookie cut, right? You're talking about blog posts or content integrations or video, etc. This is an exceptional panel because it's very diversified. We have practically a content company in Physics Wallah, to someone who's been around and now in the real estate space, a performance point of view on content, and auto as a category, and especially a B2B perspective of that, and of course fintech. So very, very excited to talk about this. But going back to the title itself, right? We in a way talking about the confluence of content and tech, and we were discussing this behind this door, and one of the things we realized is our own definitions of content marketing are very different, right? So I thought the first round, we'll go in a logical order. Maybe start with you. I wanted to ask you, what is your definition of content marketing? And in a very quick 30-second manner, what is the content technology disruption that you're very excited about?
So I wouldn't risk defining content marketing. I don't think anybody can in these days. So I'll directly skip that, right? Move on to the technology bit. So basically, I think anything which is going to move content marketing in the next 3 years, I think conversational AI, then voice search, right? We are still as in market, right, under leveraged on voice search. Then of course, the usual suspects that get mentioned, AI, then parts of metaverse, right, which will come into play. But what I think is going to be the next step where technology basically influences content marketing is how large publishers or large content distribution platforms imbibe this technology and make it democratic, right? Currently, AI might be democratized, but I'll without naming a platform, if you look at the largest streaming platform, right, of music outside YouTube, of course. So first it was about hear this song. Today they are telling how to create a podcast. Now you have tools available to how to make the podcast better. They also have facilities available how to make a podcast reach your right audience. So content marketing is not going to be just about creation of content, but actually also how we are distributing it, and especially for brands, how they can leverage technology to create content at scale.
In short, you're excited about most things happening around us. Great. Excellent. Great. How about you?
Yeah, so for us at Tata Motors, basically commercial vehicles, so what we are focusing right now on content marketing is the personalization. So we have a diversified customers from purchasing trucks to vehicles to smaller vehicle. So what we are trying to focus is on how we can do the personalized messages, how we can send the personalized video to the customer, because we have customers across India. And the major ones are the vernacular medium also. So most of the customer does not understand English because I deal in the commercial vehicle segment. So what we are trying to focus, how we can send more and more personalized communication, how we can interact with our customer through the vernacular videos, languages, ad copies, and everything. So and the next focus area for us as in Tata Motors Commercial is the AI, like how we can use the AI to the maximum. Let's say how we can auto create the blogs without any manual effort, how we can automate all the copies and all. So AI would play a very game-changing role for us, and that is what at the Tata Motors we are focusing.
For you, I'm assuming both the points you mentioned, like personalization will be your biggest
Correct.
issue, right? Especially since in the B2B space, you're probably speaking to not necessarily the urban audience and all of that. So when you talk about AI, are you excited about the personalization part of it more than the creative part, safe to say?
Yeah, correct. So personalization is a key because we have a different kind of customers who are coming onto the platform. So the personalization where we are focusing on the digital front is we have this digital platform through which customer comes and buy the vehicle online. So this is the first of the kind, like we are the pioneer where we are trying to sell the vehicle online, and we have such a huge customer base of different capacity and all. So we would be using more and more personalization, and where we have already started through the digital journey, through the platform which we have.
Wonderful, great. Rajdeep, over to you, and maybe you might want to explain your business model because it was fairly unique. I was very excited to hear about
Actually,
it.
for us, it is bit different from the other story. Basically, we have all other diversities in terms of categories, right? Wherein we are not only limited to that banking or any particular vertical. We are having diversified you can say industries wherein it is real estate or gaming or BFSI. So for us, the content is like you have to understand the requirement or how our end user is like engaging with our contents, right? Whether it is SMS marketing, whether it is email marketing or anything, right? So for us, it is like more towards like analytics, wherein we need to understand the behavior of the user, what kind of affinities they have, and accordingly target the correct audience, right? So for us, like it is a kind of fast moving, we need to keep on changing the contents for particular audience, like what they're interested in. If suppose I take an example for BFSI, we need to understand that whether the user, whether the user is interested in credit card or like what kind of banking or financial need they have. Even if it is in gaming, we need to understand what kind of affinity they have. So for us, like we have to create a very like diversified contents like all across the journey, wherein you have to understand the behavior of the user and accordingly just target them. Yeah.
Pawan, you've led many exciting brand ecosystems, and in this stage, where you're at Lodha, how do you look at content marketing, and what are you most excited about among everything that we're discussing right now?
Yeah, thank you. Firstly, I'm just going to take a step back and understand what is content marketing and what does it do to a brand, right? Because I've seen brand over the years. So when we used to create brand 10 years back, it was more about creating an aspiration for the brand, create that feeling that the customer would like to own it. Obviously, there were very limited touch points to sort of create those kind of conversation with your customers. But in content marketing, I personally feel that you are able to humanize the brand. So what does it mean? Today, I'm at Taj. I feel that there's a huge difference between Taj and, let's say, a Marriott, right? When you come to a Taj hotel, the way they welcome you, the way they address you is very different from what happens at Marriott, right? So today, I think we have the ability, brands have the ability to create that personalization at various touch points. So if Karthik is engaging with a particular brand at various levels, right? Whether you're reading a blog to kind of watching a video on social media or anything, right? I think content marketing helps you to humanize it, but you cannot forget that it's coming from a brand. And how do you customize? How do you personalize? For me, content marketing does that, helps me to create that story for the consumer. That's how I look at it.
And just staying with you, the humanizing part of a brand, I think that's a very powerful statement to say. But the way we used to do it, and I think it's my belief, and I'm sure many of you will resonate with this, is I think in the last 3.5 years, the rules of the game have changed more probably than, the previous 10 years or so. Right? Like when we started out on this whole journey of social media, we used to say that is what will create communities and that what will humanize you, conversational content and all of that. A lot of that is not really true anymore, isn't it? How do you feel about this? What has changed for you the most?
No, I think it's become even more interesting, if at all, right? That's why I said that in the earlier era of marketing or creating brand, there were very limited touch points in which you could influence a customer at various level and say that this is what I am as a brand or a personality. Today, you are able to do it. Of course, technology will help you to scale up in a massive way, right? I think that's what it's done. But what I'm trying to tell everybody is that content is one part. It's also coming from a brand, which is nothing but a human, right? You have to ensure that there is consistency in the way you approach your customer, whether it's through an SMS, through a WhatsApp, through a video, right? That's the point which I'm trying to bring. And what's interesting today is that I'm able to sort of create personalization through you to anybody else here. I'm able to talk differently, but the brand ethos is not going to change. That's why I took an example of Taj versus a Marriott. They are different, absolutely different brands. They behave in a different way. Yeah, but today I'm able to create that scale through technology. But I think the rule of the game will never change is the point which I'm trying to make.
I think you touched a very sensitive point on the Taj versus Marriott piece, which is very personal. We'll come to that at the end of the conversation. For you at Physics Wallah, and like we were just discussing outside, you are fundamentally a content company, right? You're saying you create some 7,000, 8,000 hours of content every week. Right? That's probably more than what most TV channels, I feel like, sort of create as original content in a week. How do you approach this? Because you're so endemic to content marketing itself. How do you look at it? And again, like everybody else, what are you most excited about?
So for PW, we don't look at content for marketing. We look at content in which will help our students, our aspirants, understand a concept, right? So if you look at the 8,000 hours of content that we ship every week, it mainly would be academic content, correct? And when you run an education company, it becomes a responsibility that you're imparting the right content, right? Because there are so many followers, subscribers who are following your content, and ensuring that the right person is in front of the camera trying to explain a specific concept to the students or aspirants, and that is what they will take because they have limited time, correct? So with education, given my experience has been mainly into education, driving content marketing responsibly, it becomes a challenge because there's a lot of content which comes to us, and imagine a channel which has 11 million subscribers on YouTube. What to put? Should that go? Should that not go? Is a question, right? So I think that is what one needs to take care of. We at PW split it into two, right? Content marketing can be split into one is the academic side of it. The second is the non-academic side of it, which is mainly into marketing, branding, launches, new category launches. So what content works in which platform is something that you need to know. For example, you may, like, just to give you an example, you may have seen a lot of shorts, reels, on Instagram about the World Cup, right? But you may have not seen those on YouTube Shorts. Because the trending content works on Instagram well, but not on YouTube. But YouTube is great for long-term content, and you can't teach on Instagram. So if you know the difference and the USPs of each platform and how and if you are able to curate your content in a way which works with those platforms, I think you can gain, traction on each of those platforms, right? So I think that is where content marketing is my definition.
Yeah, I want to stay with you and then come to you, Argho.
So
yeah,
Karthik,
go for it.
I'll just barge in as a sponsored ad while we are scrolling our reels. So one thing before we move on, I think is very, very important. So technology, why do we inherit technology? It is supposed to make things easier, and it is also supposed to make things cheaper. So we should not forget, today the shelf life of content over a few years has gone down drastically. So now the shelf life of content that you produce might be 1, might be 2, might be next to nil. So you need to produce content en masse and cheap, right? So that is also something which technology empowers. So as marketers, we are all responsible or at least addressable towards the bottom line. So I also think we should never forget how content or technology makes content maybe cheaper, maybe more efficient, or maybe more addressable. So also the money factor or the financial factor, I think, as any marketer or content marketer, can't be overlooked. That's it. Yeah.
It's a good segue to what I was going to come to you about, which is the addressable part of this, right? And you spoke about, and you're obviously running a channel of that magnitude. You know exactly what people like or don't like as subscribers. But when it comes to the both of you, in terms of recruiting new users to your platform using content, right? You now probably have more data points at your disposal than, safe to say, even you did like 3-4 years back, right? How are you sort of, retooling yourself to be able to, one of course is whether you have access to data. Second, of course, is are you able to use all the data you have access to, right? How are you retooling yourself there?
So depending on the product, I would believe, right? So there is also something that many of our homegrown, delivery brands have mastered, which is called moment marketing, right? It's out there. Everybody loves to do moment marketing, but that's how it is. So each sales cycle, each conversion cycle is a part of micro moments, right? And data helps you define or derive your content to address what's the need of the customer at that moment. I think Pawan might agree. So the whole idea is you are not producing content as a brand. Yes, you are, to personalize or to externalize who you are. But at the end of the day, we should not forget who we are producing that content for, right? It is the end user, it is the consumer. And content should be driven by purpose rather than what you need to produce or you need to tell. Or your story is not important. Your utility for the customer is important.
Brilliantly put. Yeah. And Pawan, if I were to come to you, how do you use content from a recruitment perspective? In your case, of course, it's a very a small cohort of people that you want to be able to talk to. How do you use that?
Actually, it's not. If you look at it, we are in the business of land. Land is one of the oldest, asset class category. But unfortunately, over the years, it's become non-sexy, right? Our idea is to actually make land part of, I don't know if any one of you is considering land in their portfolio. My guess would be maybe no, right? So I think, but if you look at it, like land ke piche Mahabharat hui hai, right? I mean, that's how old it is.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, for us, it's very important to educate and say what land can do. It has its own background of a lot of, I think, customers they have gone through their experiences to say that, how land is safe and what it can do, but it has to be from a very educational point of view. I cannot just go and sell, right? And if I start selling, so therefore what I do from a content perspective is I wear a hat of the category, not of the brand or a business. Therefore, I'm able to influence and say finally what it can do. And therefore, bring in a lot of reports, a lot of things which has happened in the past, and then go back and educate. So educate becomes our large part of our content marketing effort, if you ask me. So I think that's how we use it, and it's a very important tool for us to sort of influence our customers, there's no doubt. Selling comes later, but first is influence.
Right. Got it. And Taher, we're talking about brands retooling themselves, right? And for you, I'm assuming, the last few years would have been a complete sea change in terms of digital adoption, especially in the commercial side of it, right? But your business is still an omni-channel sort of a business. What has been transformed at Tata Motors for you to be able to manage this, and how are you using content?
So at Tata Motors, it was not that content driven initially. So now it has started focusing content because we have internally observed most of our customer are digital savvy also. So earlier, because in commercial vehicle, typical customers are the truck owner, fleet owners and all. So what we have realized, there are customers who are going online and trying to view content. So for our case, we have started using a lot of influencer content also. So influencer content is more towards the educating the customer how to use the vehicle, train, because now the vehicles are also so smart, like it's not a normal truck, right? It's all after the phase 2 of the government, everything has been automated. So we provide the training to the customer. So it's more towards the training, what are the product being launched. So we push a lot of content from those perspective to the customer. So yes, we are focusing more and more content. Also for content creation, we are using AI. So that has reduced the cost to like 50%, because let's say earlier, whatever content which we were creating at half of the cost, we are creating through the agency. So agencies are helping us out. For normal banners, normal creatives also, the cost has reduced drastically. So that is the way the delivery is also faster, cost has also reduced, and we are also getting a lot of good output, basically.
Wonderful. And I think this is the longest it has taken a panel discussion on content to use the word influencer. I think we took about 20 minutes, which I think is the Asian record. But what you said sort of took me in a different direction, which is, and you had mentioned cost in the beginning as well. I think with everything that is happening on AI, I think it's also easy to sort of, so far the narrative is mostly about what AI can create, right? But there is this other part of this, and especially, we at Hogarth, we spend a lot of time and investment on this, which is how content life cycle management overall, because it is no more just creation, right? It is a life cycle management, can become more efficient by using machine learning and AI, etc. Is that something that any of you are sort of spending time on? Is that relevant, especially in your business where production is such a big part of this?
Yeah, so I just wanted one comment on one of your previous questions, which is data, right? I think
Right.
I personally feel data is like, garbage in, garbage out. But you need to know what you want. If you exactly know what data to look into, then that garbage is, because imagine the amount of queries that may be created in a company, right? But we only look at 5 KPIs. But there may be some 5,000 queries built to double click, triple click, like on each of those, right? I personally feel that we should definitely look at data and what is important, and the rest should be neglected. Another point of view I have is on content marketing, right? How do you know what works? Because, for example, if you make some content live on YouTube or say Instagram or any other platform, what do we have data dashboards? You may know how many viewers, you may know how many likes, but does that tell you whether they've liked that content or not? So what we do usually is we look at comments, and we look at personally, like we look at chats, and not just us, but including the founders. If they go live, they keep a track of that. I think data gives a part, and we should take that and make some decision. But looking at like basic insights from the engagement in content marketing and make some decision out of it is also important, equally important, I feel, and not just banking on data. Sorry, what was your other question?
The other question was sort of similar, but this is very interesting. Let's come back to the other question in just a bit. But you also sort of work with a lot of data, right? I think both of you, in a way, sort of are platform owners as well. You work with a large user base, that you're working with. Similar, you resonate with his views, which is go with the KPI-based approach to data.
Correct. As correctly said by Sanket, like it is basically the user profiling, right? You need to understand that user. Like if I talk about personally you, that like obviously you have took a cab, like you have booked an Uber, and then most probably in lunch you have ordered Zomato, or like evening you're going for a shopping, right? So if you have that in our scenario, being into performance marketing agency or like having that user base, right? We have that analytics of those users that we know, okay, this user belongs from this affinity, and accordingly we can just target that user so that we are showing them personalized ads and all that as per the advertiser. eventually it is brand principle you need to follow and all that, but after that, like you have to have the proper understanding of the like what the user needs to be like view, or what is their requirement. So accordingly you have that personalized ads and all that, and you have to go through, in our scenario it is like we have to go through lot of data and all that, wherein we need to understand like which user base is performing well, and accordingly we are just promoting and retargeting those users and keeping them engaged with us, so that we can just target similar like kind of ads to them, and accordingly just create a profile of those users and a large user, right?
Wonderful. We're touching the last 5 minutes. I want to quickly move on to, and we can always pick up the AI part of this as a function of this question, which is a big part of the audience for this event is also people who want to build a career in digital, build a career in content marketing, etc. Argho, I'll probably start with you. And maybe you should jump in, because you run out of personal passion a digital marketing course. You guide a lot of entrepreneurs and what they should or should not do. When it comes to training, when it comes to dreaming of a career in content marketing, what are the 2-3 things you want to leave with them?
So I'll take maybe a hindsight view on, is there a career to be made in content marketing, right? Yes, there is. TikTok is a
Thank you.
thing for that. There are 30 crore content marketers currently in India. So yes, content marketing pays, and there are lots to do in content marketing. But yes, as a formalized or general career, you have to remember, once there was a marketing guy who used to write copy, then came a copywriter, then somehow a content marketer turned up, and then there was a content marketing team. Today, content marketing is an industry in itself. So it is not to say, is content marketing here to stay, or is there a career in content marketing? There are different facets within content marketing that you should see what you're good at. It might be distribution, it might be creation, it might be tech, right? It might be publishing, whatever it is. So whatever you do within content marketing, you should be true to basically. So I've heard somebody say, right, there's nothing called digital marketing. There's marketing in a digital world. So that's how content is, right? And you do not have to today sit back to realize what content you're creating is good or bad. The publisher algorithms do it for you, right? So yes, pick up content marketing. It's again part of marketing. Whatever the basic principles that people say that work for marketing, work for basically developing stories that work, brand stories that endear, right? Same applies to content marketing, and there's a lot to do there. Yeah.
You want to probably go next?
Yeah, I think I personally feel that this is one of the best time for content marketers.
Completely. Yeah.
If you look at, if I just speak from a marketing department perspective, like we used to have MTs and brand managers and so on. Today, I would love to have a content marketer becoming a brand manager and marketing head, right? Because I think the way they will understand the nuance of communicating with the customer will be far sharper than anything else. Today, I feel that gone are the days that you don't have a content team as part of your marketing team. It's a must. You can't escape it. You need to have. Here's a business which is built on content. So I think content is here to stay, and this is how I see growth. But what's really important is for everyone to remember that tech is only going to enable you to scale and create your own personalization, but the ethos of what you bring to the table can never be changed, right? I mean, that's not dependent on tech, right? That's dependent on what you bring, your skill set, to a story, to a brand story. I think that needs to be kept intact. That's a differentiator for a brand, and that should never be changed.
Yeah, and it's also as a skill set, we had people specializing in search and in performance and all of that. And I feel, as a content marketer, someone, slowly getting into this industry in 2024, 2025, he has to be a bit of a polymath, isn't it? He has to understand data, integrally. He has to understand creativity, what works, has to understand brand. And I feel it's like you said, it's probably the best job in advertising at this point.
No, I think you brought in a great point. It's a combination of a right brain and a left brain coming in together. I think that's the skill set which is required.
Right.
It's no longer about, I'm a logical mind and I'm a creative mind. I think it's a combination of both. I think, which is what people should like bring in as skill. And I think it has a great future if one is able to do that.
Any last words on this topic of content marketing as a career?
Let's hear it from the company.
Yes, exactly.
All I would say is be a responsible content marketer, because you have the power to influence your audience. So if you want to build your career in content marketing, be a responsible one, understand your TG, know what platform works, what doesn't, understand the limitations of AI and what it can be best used for, and what can humans do, and what they can be the best users there, right? So for me, I think it is maintaining a balance in all.
Fantastic place to pause this conversation. Thank you so much. You guys have been a great panel, and thank you for being a patient audience.
Thank you so much, Karthik. I'm just going to quickly check if you have questions from the audience, because we do have room for 2 questions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, any questions coming in? Please do raise your hands. We'll be happy to pass the mic. Any questions? Yes, we do have a question there. Just a second, sir. We're going to quickly pass the mic to you. And I'd also like to request you to please introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rituraj. I have had my experience in digital marketing overall. And my question is open to the panel. With so much of influx of different kind of tools, there is some sort of confusion in the minds of marketeers, whether at senior level or junior level. And what kind of 2 set of skill sets a marketer should look at in the next 2 years' time to stay relevant in the market? That's my question.
It's a very deep question. If you want to go for it, go for it.
Can I? Yeah. So what kind of tools? No. So can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the answer to this is very easy, right? So we were just discussing before. So what do tools do? Tools will help you move up the value chain. So content marketing is a value chain. So you have to select tools. So you have to first identify where you as an individual are. If you're an individual content creator along the value chain, right? What do you lack? If you're representing a brand, then what does the brand intend to be? You have to identify your place in the value chain and then leverage a tool or many tools to move up the value chain. So there is, I personally do not see there is a choice between X tool and Y tool, because everything works differently for everybody. So you have to utilize whatever tool helps you move up. So that's mine.
I'll probably add a slightly left field angle to this, which is also something that we didn't discuss much, is also often overlooked, is I think the ability for someone to understand a culture / subculture. Right? And when I say this, I'm not talking about like hip hop or tattoo artists or anything else. Right? It could even be finance. It could be automobile as a culture. Right? I feel like, especially in content marketing, it's very important to be able to know the lay of this land so you can intervene.
Yeah. Just very quickly, that's my personal opinion, is that influence of art and culture is going to be a lot in staying relevant in becoming better as far as usage of tech is concerned, because somewhere what happens are roots take us there. And arts and culture is something that we have not spent so much time on growing up because we have focused on other things. So, just a different opinion.
All right, so another last question. Yes, sir. This company, last question over there.
Hi everyone. I think it was a great discussion. My name is Shubharan Chakraborty. I work at RIL as an internal comms manager. So my question is basically vis-a-vis voice search, how do you think it will particularly impact content marketing trends? Because after all, like you mentioned, content is for the consumer. So if voice enables simplicity for consumers, how do you think it's going to impact voice SEO for that matter?
Very specific question.
So basically, I see like if I talk about this, this has been a very new, you can say, feature which has been added to the kind of. So basically, how I see this is like it is very easy going. You can just click on voice, and you don't just have to type those things, and it is very easy for you to just click on the voice button, and you just get the what you're looking for, and wherein you get ample amount of contents over there, and accordingly you are just handy with those contents which you are looking forward to search it. So this is what I think is it like saves your time, and it gives you a kind of thing wherein you get ample amount of varieties in the whatever you have in the list, right? So I would like if you want to add something.
Yeah, I think just from a voice perspective, I think the usage has sort of, if that's the question you're asking from a usage perspective, typically like we define India as India 1 and India 2. India 2 is basically the serving class. I've always seen that they are the one who are adopting, right? I'm sure each one of your house help must be not sending a WhatsApp text, but a WhatsApp voice. My mother does that, right? Whenever she has to communicate. So obviously this is here to stay. The use case may be slightly different. I'm seeing the use case actually coming in from the India 2 and the older generation, but this is how they come to the world of being a part of this, digital world, right? So in India particularly, right, I think it has many use cases, and all the marketeers, they need to experiment, they need to put out there, right? Again, it depends from customer to customer, right? In our case, for example, we see slightly older audience. That becomes extremely important for us to create that experience for our customers. So again, it's all here to stay. If you see, maybe you'll not ask this question 2 years down the line, but everyone has to experiment depending on the business and what they create. These are the ways in which you can actually create a far deeper engagement with your customer.
I will just sign off with one thing. You learn to speak before you write. The answer is there.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for a great question.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karthik. Thank you to all of our speakers. I'm going to request you to please come together for a group photograph. I have to admit that genuinely a session that Karthik enjoyed spearheading. We enjoyed listening to all of you as well. If I can request you to please come together. Let's have a group photograph, and let's have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to thank our speakers from the penultimate session, because our finale session is about to take place in the next couple of minutes. I'm going to urge every one of you to please be seated. Meanwhile, I'd also like to invite the team from IMAI to please come on stage to also present these wonderful gifts on behalf of Root Mobile, our platinum partner, as we thank our speakers. So let's have these wonderful gifts for all of our speakers as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you once again.